If you use the DeepSeek website, I think it's important that you understand their privacy policy and their terms of use, because there is at least 3 very alarming things that I found in there when I was going through those documents. And I wanted to share this in this video because I'm making another video that I'm posting right after this one where I compared DeepSeek R1 versus ChatGPT's O1 model. But I want to make sure I have this in a dedicated video so you understand before you use the website exactly what you're going to agree to and how your data is going to be used. Okay, so the DeepSeek website, and where you could also use DeepSeek R1 over here, is at chat.deepseek.com. And if you click on your profile right here and go to settings, you'll see this option under profile where you could view the terms of use and the privacy policy. So I'll run the privacy policy through ChatGPT and I'll show you exactly the red flags that I found, and then I'll give you the prompt. You could do this for yourself too. And as I'm recording this, this was last updated in December 05, 2024. And I copied and pasted this entire document here. It's not very long actually. And my prompt was review the following privacy policy and terms of use in detail, identify any potential red flags, ambiguities, and concerning clause related to user privacy, liability, legal compliance, and user rights. Here is the document. And I started with just the privacy policy first. And let me walk you through some of these issues. So issue number 1 is related to transparency. The policy outlines various types of data collected: profile data, user input, automatically collected data, and third-party data. And it says right here, extensive user input collection. It will collect text, audio, uploaded files, chat history, feedback, is all collected and stored, and it does not clarify how long the data is retained and whether it is anonymized before analysis. Now, there's no explicit mention if they use this to train their AI models, if user data is used for model improvement. And look at this one, keystroke pattern and rhythm collection. The policy mentions collecting keystroke patterns and rhythms, which could be a form of biometric data. Now, this is form of collecting sensitive personal data, and it says it may violate some laws, especially maybe in the EU, GDPR, those type of things. They do have a mobile app, which right now in the US is the #1 app in the App Store right now. And it says the company uses device ID, user ID, tracks user activity across multiple devices. And if I go back to the website, I clicked on settings, and this is literally the only options I have. I could change the language, I could change the theme, I could pretty much do nothing else besides delete my account, right? There's nothing else in the profile. I could delete my chats and I could get the little chatbot here to check out their FAQ and things like that. But when I use ChatGPT, I mean, I have all the paid plans, so it by default doesn't use it to train their models. But even in the free plan, you have some options in the setting to change a lot of that. Here you have 0 settings to change anything. Now, that was all part of transparency and data collection. Data sharing with third parties is also mentioned here. The policy states that DeepSeek shares user data with advertiser and analytics partners, including data from activities on other websites and apps or in stores. This implies behavioral tracking and potential sales of data to targeted advertising. I know a lot of people don't like this. I know it's a business model of a lot of companies that offer a free service, but it's something that's usually hidden in the privacy policy. There is no mention of opting in or opting out of these options at all, like I mentioned. Now, this third one is probably the most concerning, related specifically to how the data is stored, okay? The policy states that all collected data is stored in servers in China. This is when you use the website. That's the case. There is a way around that where you don't use the website. I'll mention that in a second. But China's data laws, such as cybersecurity law and data security law, requires companies to share user data with the Chinese authorities when requested. Okay, so if DeepSeek has their data center in China, the government could at any time ask them to see that information. That's the law that is mentioning here. If DeepSeek has users in the regions like the EU and the US, this raises serious compliance, especially under things like GDPR, right? And international privacy laws. The privacy doesn't say anything about if users in the EU have their data processed differently in compliance with GDPR. So pretty sure it's not complying with that. And this point right here, data retention policy is vague. The policy states that the data is returned as long as necessary, but does not specify clear time frame. That's usually not the case. They usually could retain data in most apps for a certain period of time, but it doesn't say indefinitely usually. But user input includes sensitive chat history, may be stored indefinitely. No specific security standard mentioned. So this is related to security right here. There is no mention of encryption, two-factor authentication, access control to protect user data. Now right here for children data collection, it says the app is not meant for anyone under 18, but it doesn't have much of age verification that I really noticed when I signed up. So that is not very clear, and how they would enforce that if you are under 18 and you're trying to use this app. Now, ChatGPT made this nice table here. So user data collection, concern level very high. Data sharing, concern level very high. The way they store the data. Data is stored in China, no mention of international transfer safeguards, very high. Now, I did the same thing with terms of use, which was updated January 20, 2025. Now, this is a much bigger document here, but a lot of the concerns are pretty much the same relating to how the data is collected and used. No guaranteed or explicit opt-out option for users to prevent their data from being used. I'll just go to the bottom here just to give you the recap here, and then I'll show you a few different ways that you could get around this and not use the website at all and still use DeepSeek. Okay, so right here, red flags and risks, the first one I just mentioned. No clear compliance with global privacy laws like GDPR. Service can be modified, suspended, or terminated. That's normal right here. Users bear full responsibility for AI-generated output. That's normal. No dispute resolution outside of China. I'm assuming that's pretty normal for a Chinese company. Unclear whether users can request full data deletion. No transparency on how moderation decisions are made. On specific duration for data retention. That's probably one of the bigger concerns with this document, and you mentioned in the privacy, where they could just retain the data forever, I guess, and do whatever they want with it, train any model with it. There's no way to get out of that. Now right here, it says proceed with caution. If you use DeepSeek for sensitive legal or business critical purposes, consider alternative providers that offer stronger privacy protection, clear legal compliance, and user rights safeguards. Okay, so what can you do about this? Because if you do use the website, the DeepSeek website, and the chatbot, and the mobile apps, that is all the things you're agreeing to. And I know I use AI every single day. I would not be okay with pretty much any of this here. But I wanted to make this video, and I'll show you some workarounds with this, because I just made a video comparing ChatGPT o1 with DeepSeek R1, and I used both of the websites just to make it an even comparison. So I wanted to make this video before I post that. But there's a couple of things you could do if you still want to use DeepSeek. One of them is you could actually install a version of DeepSeek locally. The DeepSeek R1 can be installed locally. It's not probably going to be the full-blown version you're using on the chat website, and I covered this in a different video. But there is a website called olama.com, and this works for Mac, PC, and Linux. And DeepSeek R1 has all these different distilled version of them. So these are DeepSeek R1, but in a way that you could kind of run them on your computer. The actual DeepSeek, the full-blown one they're using on their website, is 671 billion parameter model, which I actually downloaded on my computer. So on this website, and I made an entirely different video about this. So I'm not going to show you exactly how it works, but I downloaded this one, 671 billion parameter, 400 gigabyte. I downloaded it right to my laptop to use the full-blown DeepSeek R1 model. It just didn't work because there's no personal computer that could handle this kind of a local AI. So I ran one of the smaller ones. I was able to get all the way to the 70B, which was actually really good when I tested it locally on my computer. So if you download it locally, you could literally turn your Wi-Fi off, right? So that is not using the website. That is not agreeing to the terms of the website. That is totally different. This is an open source thing that you could download. Again, watch that video if you want to install that locally. It's not going to have the same user interface, but it comes pretty close. I'll show you here. So this is the user interface that I covered in the other video. So right on top right here, I downloaded the 32B, the 671B, and the smaller 7B model, so I could switch between them, run them all locally on my computer. I'm on localhost 3000, meaning I'm on a Chrome browser tab here, but I'm not on the internet actually. This is 100% offline. And I also, with this, downloaded other models too. So I have Llama 3.3, 3.2, Mistral, and I could switch back and forth. But if I run the full-blown DeepSeek R1 671B model, it just doesn't work. It won't respond to my prompt. I could just like click on even the simplest prompt here, and it'll just kind of get stuck on this page and give me an error message because I just wouldn't be able to do this locally on my computer, but you could run the other sizes. Now, another way I found that you could actually use DeepSeek R1 is inside of Perplexity. So perplexity.ai, this is a search engine, but they do charge for it. So that's part of their pro subscription. But if you click this, they have reasoning with R1. Now, this is really quite not like the chatbot because it's really meant for search and adding reasoning on top of search. And I covered this in a different video. So if you choose this right here and ask a question, I'll ask what's better, Mac or PC, it will use the R1 on top of the pro search that they have. But this is a $20 subscription. The big difference between this version though is they say they locally host this in the US. So they probably downloaded the 671B model, that is an open source model, and they hosted it and then they tied it into the Perplexity Pro Search. So you can see the R1 reasoning is going through the analysis kind of step by step before it gives you an answer. I really like this. I think combining Pro Search, this is my default search engine anyway. I use Perplexity for pretty much all search related things, but it doesn't really take the place of ChatGPT or the R1 model inside of a chatbot. It's really meant for search. In this case, it went through a bunch of different websites, 21 different websites, and then it gave you the answer after it went through that R1 reasoning. And I'm sure because it's open source, other people are going to download it and host it locally in the US. So all those privacy concerns when it comes to data collection and data usage is going to be simplified a little bit. But if you do use the DeepSeek website, you should know everything that I covered in this video so you don't give it any type of sensitive information. And if you have more concerns, don't use it at all. Just use one of the local versions that I showed you or try to use it with one of these US-based partners. Okay, so next I'm gonna compare the O1 model from ChatGPT versus the R1 model from DeepSeek, the reasoning model from both of those companies, and see how they stack up. I'll post that here next. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.